You're listening to The Unstoppables, where each week we show you how to overcome obstacles and transform the sting of failure into the reward of growth. And now, here's your host, best-selling author, keynote speaker, and CEO, Bill Wooditch.
You're tuned into The Unstoppables. It's the place where you learn to shorten that distance, to lessen the pain, where you need to go and where you are right now. On this show, we've had achievers, those people who are resilient, those people who have faced fear. They have failed, but they have one thing in common. They pick themselves back up and they move forward. They've looked into that darkness of the abyss, that place where you either find character or you lose yourself. And those people said, hell no. I've found myself and I will succeed. They're willing to do the work. They know the value of hard work. They are the Unstoppables. And today, my special guest, he's a friend as well, is Marques Ogden. Marques, man, good to see you.
Bill, what's going on? How are you, sir?
You know, unfortunately, this is only going to be audio, and I'm great, thank you. And they can't see my Pittsburgh Steelers shirt. And I'm going to give a little bit of your bio, and then they'll know why this is important and why there's always going to be a little bit of friction between the two of us. Friendly, but
always.
Marques grew up in a single parent home with a father that inspired perseverance and fairness. Think of those two words, perseverance and fairness, vanishing values today. He learned how to define his values. He learned something very important around that kitchen table, how to set goals. He attended Howard University from 1998 to 2002. He played Division I football, and then he followed his dream and his brother Jonathan's footsteps, eventually getting drafted into the NFL in 2003. He played for 5 years as an offensive lineman for teams that were not the Steelers, the Titans, the Bills, the Ravens, and the Jaguars. Following his NFL career, he started Kayden Premier Enterprises. It's a construction company, it was, in 2007, and it quickly escalated to a multi-million-dollar firm. 2013, it crashed and everything around him. Involved in a bad business deal, he ended up losing everything. Now, I'm not going to give you what happens next. We're going to find out from Marques. Marques, tell me about values, first of all. Tell me about that kitchen table. Tell me what you learned from your father that became a key takeaway that you apply every day today.
Some of the values I learned were amazing, but the one I will always remember, never forget, education over sports all day long. Because my dad played football at Howard, and then my father ended up getting hurt his senior year, and there was talks of him maybe going to NFL. I think my dad's like the Bengals looked at him and a couple other teams, but when he got injured, that was it. But my father also had a degree in business management, and he got his master's in economics from the University of Maryland. So it was kind of funny. He used to always tell me he remembers seeing Randy White at Maryland back when he was there getting his master's. He would see the Manster out there working with guys and trying to get guys get better and all this type of great stuff as he was doing the NFL during that time with the Cowboys. But really, education over sports is the number one value I learned, because I see so many young kids today that want to be athletes. They want to be the LeBron James. They want to be the Dak Prescotts. They want to be the Lamar Jacksons, all these things. But they have to understand that injuries happen, 1. 2, it's very hard to get to that level. And 3, when you're done playing football, what's next? I mean, God knows I respect the hell out of Tom Brady. Think he's the GOAT. But what I saw this past weekend when they lost to the Saints was not the same Tom Brady. That's not what I saw even 10, 5 years ago. So what's Tom going to do now? Is he going to move on after this season? I mean, nobody knows. But when you move on from sports, Bill, you must have a solid educational foundation.
It wasn't an injury, but we're going to mix a little bit of metaphors here. Your construction company was zooming. It was booming. And all of a sudden, you make a bad deal, and it's done. So what was next for you?
So after about Geez. For about, Bill, about a month, I was just trying to figure out if I could save the company. I worked a different job, trying to figure out if I could go back and forth, just trying to make a little bit of money, stay afloat, if I could save it. Then I realized in January 2013 it was not savable. And in February, I just said, okay, I gotta pack this up. So in February, March, we started packing up Baltimore to come down here. I called the NFL, told them what was going on. They helped me relocate down to Raleigh because I had to pay for everything. They helped me find a job. I got a job at Merrill Lynch in Durham, which was great. I got down here, Bill, after everything, moving expenses, all the stuff, Bill, $400 is all I had left. That's all I had. I had $400, no credit cards. They were all torn up, crashed, nothing. Home was foreclosed on. When I got down here to Raleigh shortly after, both cars were repossessed in the same day. And my life was just in shambles. And I had a job, but I went to that job, Bill, with no purpose. I didn't really want to be there. I just went there to sit in a seat, try to build a book of business, so I thought, and make some money. But unfortunately, after 2 months, because of my not taking it serious and not doing well in my practices, I was fired. Again, all my fault. Got a job the next day to a construction company in downtown Apex. Was there for 5 days, got fired. And unfortunately, because we were in such shambles and had such little money, we were almost homeless, had to work different jobs. I taught kids football. I trained them in how to be better and ran some different programs and camps. But when football started, then a lot of my kids stopped coming. And then that's when I had to take a job, Bill, as a custodian. I worked 2013, September, 7 years ago, approximately this month. I was making $8.25 an hour working downtown Raleigh. My checks, Bill, were $311.13 a week. That's what they were. 7 years ago, exactly, approximately this month, I was a custodian. September 2013 is when I got the job.
You are the embodiment of the hero's journey with a beginning that's rather humble, and then an ascent, and then a fall, and then a climb. But we're still in the fall stage, and there's a defining moment in speaking with you and getting to know you. There was a defining moment, and you talk about this in the success cycle, but I want you to let the audience know what that defining moment was for you in that dark period.
So what happened is, Bill, I was as a custodian. I had a job. I was grateful, making this money, paying bills, just doing what I had to do like any normal person. And when I was taking the trash out, and actually, Bill, it was, again, almost approximately 7 years ago. It's probably about another week. So it was like around the week of September 20th. It was in that time frame. So actually, it'll be next week. It'll be 7 years that week, approximately. Taking the trash out, went to go throw in the dump. And I went to throw the bag in the dump. It's like 4:30 in the morning. So it was pitch black outside, like I always did on my shift. Went to throw the bag, Bill, threw it. There was a rip in the front side of the bag, which I didn't see. I was tired. I had just been working a long shift. I was ready to go home. I had just done all my stuff, sprayed baseboards and pledged and vacuumed and all the stuff I had to do, right? And when I throw that trash out, it was a rip on the front side of the bag, Bill. I threw the trash, and all that trash just came back on me. Rotten meat, banana peel, spoiled milk, every horrible, protruding, nasty smell you can think of came back on my body. And at that moment, I put my head in my hands. I sat down on the curb right next to that trash can, which is actually still there today, and I cried. And I said, what has happened to my life? And I realized, Bill, no accountability, no ownership, but more importantly, Bill, which I've actually really come to really know this now in the last, I'll say probably like 6 months or so. Actually, probably last 3 months. I had no purpose. I mean, I got up every day just to get the day over with. That's what I did. There was no purpose. And Chadwick Boseman, who just passed away, who was went to Howard with me. I met him several times because I used to work in our theater as a custodian. How ironic. And he was an actor and did some things in there. He was a great person. Met him a few times again. And when I saw his whole thing, he talked about your purpose should drive you towards your success. And looking at that, and really analyzing it and thinking about that, that's when I realized that what I felt 3 months ago was echoed by Chadwick, that I got up every day with no damn purpose. So by the time I just went to do all I was doing, coaching, custodian, it was just to get through the day. There was no blueprint. There was no focus. There was no vantage point. There was no finish line, or there was no beyond the finish line. It was just, Marcus, get up, go do your job, come home, drink beer, sit your ass on the couch, go to sleep, do it all over again.
There are two major takeaways in that for the audience, and I want to make sure that we hammer this home. First thing you did is own it. Accountability. This is what's happening. You looked into the mirror. There was no denial. There was no delusion. This is what's happening in my life, and I'm the one that's responsible for my life. And then when you found purpose, that why that you attach later on, we'll get to that why. But that why, that became almost a rocket booster. Here, I have accountability. This is where I've been. What am I going to do with my life every day? And then instead of waking up and thinking, well, I'm going to get through the day, I'm going to walk through it and wrote, you became alive. What did you do at that moment? What happened next to get you to the next level?
Great question, Bill. I came home that morning and I sat at my little flimsy table, and I hadn't even taken a shower yet. I wanted to get it out on paper right away. I wrote down my 3 biggest strengths. I tell everybody, focusing on your weakness, yeah, you need to improve that, yes, but give yourself some credit first. Figure out 3 things you do very well. Then I computed that and I kind of computed that into what was my passion, which was to help people learn from my mistakes. And I computed in my mental computer becoming a speaker. And that's the day that I started my speaking business. And that's the day that began me trying to go through my life with purpose and drive, not just try to go through the day with lack of purpose, no plan, and nowhere trying to go fast. So in real terms, that's what I did. I came home that morning, I wrote down my 3 biggest strengths, and then I wrote down what was my passion, and I computed that I want to be a speaker to help others succeed where I failed.
In your book, The Success Cycle, 3 Keys for Achieving Your Goals in Business and Life, you do a great job of talking about what you need to do to get to that next level, whether it's speaking or whatever it is. And that is showing up to these events that you may not want to go to because you use an R word. You're resentful. You think, oh man, what am I going to do this for? I've done all these other things in my life. I've had the bright lights on. I've played in the NFL. I've done these things. But now I got resent. I resent this. But you've taken that, you put it away, and you said, that's the price I'm going to pay. And those are the steps you took going forward to become a professional speaker. And I want to ask you what your first talks were like, what you did, paying that price to get to the level you are now, where you are a speaker in demand, where you're a best-selling author. What were those first steps like?
The first steps were really hard. I remember my first speech was for the Boys and Girls Club of Raleigh in 2013. I think it was October. It was horrible. I clung to the podium. I was the audience was the enemy, and the podium was my force field, keeping them away from me. I was sweating. I was stammering. I was basically wow. And looking back on it, for about a year, that's what it was. I would say, a lot. A lot. I used a lot of fillers, space fillers. I didn't really educate myself on content. I didn't educate myself on life experiences. I didn't learn from people. I didn't go get a coach, which I should have done, obviously. So the first year to year and a half, Bill, was very painful. All free, right? Middle school, sports, Raleigh, Boys and Girls Clubs. I got my first non-paid corporate job in 2014. Again, it was during that year time period where I spoke for NetApp in downtown Chicago. But again, Bill, something I tell people, I hope you're listening, I leaned on my inner circle, and I told my inner circle what I wanted to do. I told them I'm going to be a speaker. I want to start speaking. If you know anybody that needs a speaker, please let them know that I'm available, and I'll do it for free. I'm trying to build up I call it my archives. So my client, who I coached both his sons in football, is so crazy to see. Both his sons now, one is 25 or 26, living in Colorado, soon to be engaged, I think. Great job. And the other one's 23, I want to say, in Austin, Texas, doing phenomenal, working in corporate. To see both those boys who were one of my first clients, probably, God, what, 8 years ago? Yeah, 7 years ago. To see them now grown up and doing what they're doing, and it's awesome. But their dad gave me my first non-paid corporate job, and their dad gave me my first corporate testimonial. And because of Dave and what he did for me, it opened me up to where now in the last 4.5 years, I've worked for 17 Fortune 500 companies. As a speaker of the 17, 10 are Fortune 100. But it all started with my inner circle, me telling Dave I wanted to doing a job for Dave, Bill, not doing well the first time. I was off key, wrong topic. Dave saw enough in me, gave me another chance to come speak for them again in Miami. Well, actually it was like Fort Lauderdale. And I spoke for them again at the, I forgot, it was a big hotel in downtown in their area. They used to shoot the movie, the show Ballers at that hotel. Had me down there, worked for them. It went phenomenal. And that's how it all went from there. And then, like I said, I've worked for all these companies, from Axe Advisors to Liberty Mutual Insurance to Home Depot to all these brands. You know what I mean?
If you would have played for the Steelers, you probably would have been on Ballers.
Yeah, but no, that's not true because Terrell Suggs was on Ballers.
I know. I watched the show. I'm a fan of the shows. By the way, I'm one of the only people probably that will know who Randy White was called the Manster, who Randy White was, 54 for the Dallas Cowboys. He's strong.
I don't know. Randy White's Randy White's very well known, man. Like I'm
my age, yours. You're just young.
Yeah. Well, I'm from DC. And, I can't say anything Cowboys, but I know who the Manster is.
Well, I'm going to give you something Cowboys. That was in the 70s, man. The big rivalry then was the Steelers. That's what it was. I'm going to go off on this, but let me jump back. I have watched your career arc. And what I see now on stage is smooth, fluid, connecting with an audience, very calm. Now, you might be like a duck, but underwater, you're just going like crazy. But man, you're smooth and you're impactful, and you get more testimonials that I've never seen a speaker get as many testimonials as you, and they're heartfelt. And that comes from doing the work, putting yourself in play and learning, hey, you know what? I got to improve. I'm going to do this every day. And it's like everything else. You just keep working that way. In your book, The Success Cycle, let's talk about your book. You mentioned something in chapter 10 that I find fascinating, that I've tried to delineate my entire life, and I think you do a great job with this. Motivation versus inspiration. Go ahead and tell me the difference between motivation and inspiration.
Motivation is when you do something for outside external gain. It's short term. You're doing it. That's what I had with Kayden. I tried to make money. I wanted fame. I wanted notoriety. I didn't love what I was doing. It brought me fast life. It brought me, of course, a lot of heart to get there. Fast life when it was at this height, a lot of money, a lot of notoriety, winning awards, buying what I wanted, buying cars. But if you're just motivated, Bill, at some point you will burn out because the journey is not worth the walk because you don't want to do it. When you're inspired, then you're looking to make a real systemic change, and you're going to put in the hard work, and you won't burn out. Just like me with speaking. Is it a lot of work? You betcha. Is it stressful? Absolutely. Is it going to come easy? Nope. But have I ever burned out? No. Have I been tired? Have I been worn down? Yes. But have I been burnt out? So I don't want to do this anymore. What the hell was I thinking? Absolutely not. So that's the difference. So it's about making a real positive impact and an inspiring long-term approach versus being motivated for money, notoriety, fame, short-term gain. And again, eventually you will burn out.
You know, the motivation comes with a goal line, and inspiration, those people are crazy. They're the most dangerous. They're the ones that change that game. And you're one of them. You know, I remember being proud of you because I remember what this felt like to me, to have a book that you could walk into Barnes and Noble and there your book was right there. You know, there was a day where that happened for you. And tell me about this book. It became a bestseller. It's at Barnes and Noble. Tell me about the book and tell me where we can find you to locate this book besides Barnes and Noble, and where we can see some of your speaking reel, because I think people need to really feel and see what you're doing there.
So the book is really about, Bill, ambition, drive, and hard work. Ambition, create the blueprint for your life, for your journey. It doesn't have to be people's journey from your family, from your past, your friends. It's your journey. Be ambitious to create it. Be driven. Be inspired over motivated. Go for the long-term success. Walk the path, not for quick gain or quick overnight success. Doesn't exist. Third is hard work. Focus on yourself, not the competition. The competition will not be you. Use that to drive you to keep going, but don't focus on them. Focus on you. So those are the 3 keys in the book that we talk about. You can find the book in Barnes & Noble, Amazon online, Barnes & Noble online. You can also go to our website, www.marques, M-A-R-Q-U-E-S, Ogden, O-G-D-E-N.com. Check us out there. There's a media section with speaking reels. There's also a great journey video that's on the header on the main page of our website, talking about my journey, what I went through. It was very well done by Mr. Donovan Barnes. He's one of our teammates and our videographer. Very well laid out. And there's this media section. You can purchase our book on the website. There's coaching testimonials, and you also can see like our client logos on the homepage as well. But we're very much driven, Bill, and focused on helping people who want to be successful by learning from my mistakes. So, like you said earlier, in the whole bringing in, so people that don't feel the pain as much as I did.
This is an achiever's manual, because not only do you have the inspiration of your story, but you also have at the end of each chapter, here's some steps. Here's what to do. Take this down, write some notes. And you've got a main section in the book, chapter 8, on what is your why. That's the thing you found when you thought, I'm just stumbling through life. I don't have any real goals. I don't have a why. I just want to get up, drink beer, and hang out with my friends. But what is your why? Did that why for you, or did you find it by looking for it, or did it just come upon you? It was already inside of you.
So the why really came about when I was on that curb and I realized I had no accountability. And when I realized that is that I'm sure people who have failed or have tough times have had the same issue. No matter if you're successful, trying to get there at a bad point in your life, whatever the case may be, we've all had that tough moment. I don't care who we are, because we had a loved one pass away, we had a business hiccup, we had a personal issue. We've all had that issue. The thing is, I want people to understand, you can learn how to dig deep. And I dug deep right there. And I said, okay, Marques, you don't have any accountability, or you didn't. Now you're going to get some. You didn't have ownership. Now you're going to get some. Now it's time for you to go out and really help others who want the help, but don't know where to start, don't know how to get from A to B, B to C, whatever the case may be. But you have to help drive them by being honest, vulnerable, open yourself. So I talk about my bankruptcy, my alcohol addiction, my mental health issues I had to overcome. All these things I had, financial trouble that I had, losing parents, loved ones, battling demons of drinking and gambling, all these things I had to battle. I'm very open about it. And people say, Marques, when you do that, it helps you connect with others. And what happens, so many people say, Marques, I love your presentation. I'm not strong enough to say what you said, but I can relate to you. I say, look, I understand. Don't worry about it. You can talk about it in your own way, in your own time. But that's the difference, Bill. It's like I really dug deep to really say, you can help others, Marques, but you got to help yourself first.
There's another major takeaway here as an object lesson, is a lot of people are looking to become an entrepreneur, all right? And you say, as an entrepreneur, it's common to be faced with decisions to take risk, and that's scary. And when you first started to make your plan to be a keynote speaker, you had so many people that were negative and telling you, don't do that, stick to what you know. And what did you do with those naysayers?
I put them to the side. I said, thank you very much for your concern, but this is my life. You cannot impact what I'm going to do. I call it crabs in a barrel. When you're trying to get out of the barrel because you're stuck in life, people want to bring you back down to their level so you can all share in the misery. I don't believe in that. I don't preach it. I don't know why people do it. Well, I know why, because they don't want you to succeed. But at the end of the day, Frank Sinatra said it best. Revenge is the sweetest form of revenge. I mean, success is the sweetest form of revenge. And for me, I'm not a vengeful person. Like, I've learned, I just want to help people. But some people don't want you to help, or some people don't want you to be in a position to help others because they don't want to take the plunge themselves. That's fine. I've learned and I understand. Just because you say something doesn't mean I have to buy into it. So I tell everybody all the time, non-believers are going to be people that are too scared to make their plunge. They don't want you to make your plunge. And like my father always told me, if you don't have non-believers, Bill, if you don't have doubters or haters, you're not doing anything worthwhile. And I never forgot that.
That is one of the most powerful pieces, and I've been doing this show for a long time. That's one of the most powerful pieces I've heard. I'm going to take that and I'm going to make sure that I export that to as many people as I can through my network and hopefully through your network as well, because that, my friend, is a very important life lesson. This book, The Success Cycle, is as much about business and life. You're combining the two because they are one at the end of the day. And
they are.
I'm going to ask you another question, because this is a time of challenge for the speaking business, and we're both in it. And I hate this word, but I'm going to use it because I'm going to have to take a little bit of time sequestered in a corner and come up with a new one. But what did you do to pivot and do things virtually during this time of COVID?
So I pivoted by making sure that our team was in a position to get the resources that we had that were necessary, which is, and again, social selling has been a huge part of our brand. But again, Bill, like you said, the testimonials have made it where we can get people that want to work with us. We can pivot and do things through Zoom. We can do things through, WebEx. We can do things through Google Meet, whatever the case may be. And it's all about putting yourself in that position to get where you want to go. So we really focus on more touch points: social media, social selling, blogs, newsletters, and multiple touch points. And by doing that, we were engaging people. And then we got really good at crafting those masterful presentations that Dawn does, and then executing them at the highest level with the passion and the energy. And we've been very I haven't been on a plane since January, but we've done more virtual keynotes for big companies, small companies, real estate, to marketing, to home builders. We've been very busy since basically February, with different things. February I did a lot of local things, but as far as being virtual, since March when we went virtual, we have been very busy because we've been able to pivot in that process.
What are you conveying in your message, whether it's in person and you got a charismatic, likable presence, and you've got your workout, you're in great shape, you got this presence, and it even comes across on the screen. And you're not paying me to say that. But no, he's not paying me. What are you trying to convey to the audience? What would the 2 or 3 points of your message be if you say, hey man, I got this across? That's a winning speech. It's a winning talk.
What I want to get across people is basically 3 things. One, the importance of operational excellence, how they have to have a good, strong business foundation to move forward. Second is quality product. If your product is no good, don't expect anybody to buy and invest. You have to invest dollars, time, and research into it to get to a high level. And third, excellent customer service. Every business is built off those 3 pillars. If you can set those as the foundation, lay the cement, let it dry, build a rebar around it, and then go vertical and build your empire, you're good. But if one of those 3 is on shaky rebar or not really has a good, strong foundational print in the earth, you're in trouble. Because that's exactly why Kayden crashed. We lost operational excellence. This is why our company today, we're thriving because we allow inclusion and we have a great atmosphere of team with what we're doing.
How does Marques Ogden define success?
To me, success is about the people around you doing well. That's what it is. Because if my clients are doing well, if my business partner's doing well, if my business associates are doing well, then I'm doing well. If people around me aren't doing well, then I'm short-sighted. And what happens is eventually those people don't want to work with me, and then I'm not doing well.
Did anyone ever tell you come from a place of abundance, not scarcity?
No, of course.
That's where you come from.
I've heard that.
I wanted to ask you this, and I've been remiss on asking you this, but you look at books on success, and there's all kinds of different things, different ways of saying it. But tell me about success as a cycle, the title of your book.
So you have to start with ambition. You have to define the blueprint for your life, and you figure out your purpose. If you don't have ambition, it's not going to work. You have to be driven and inspired to go through the long journey, because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be quick. If you're not inspired, you're going to burn out. And you have to work hard on that inspirational journey. You have to do things others aren't going to do. You have to work out, like you said, make that part of my regimen. You have to take care of yourself. You have to work on your content. You have to read. You have to post. You have to engage people. You have to create great PowerPoints or try to grow your business and automate it. I could go on and on and on. And that's the cycle. If you have no ambition, no purpose, doesn't work no matter what you do. If you're not driven by inspiration, you will burn out. If you focus on other people and not workingly focus on yourself, you're gonna get blind by what I call social media comparison game. And next thing you know, Bill, you get nothing done. Okay. And then when you do those three things, hit the repeat button, start over. Find a new ambition in life. Again, pivot, make a move, transition, evolve. Go to the next part. And again, be driven. Go to the next part. And the cycle never ends. That's what happened to me with Kayden, Bill. I did those three things, but I didn't hit the repeat button. When I got to that point and we had success, I stopped. The minute I stopped, it's the minute I started dying.
Huge point that I've tried to drive home in teaching and in coaching people, both in a bricks and mortar company and outside, is that you can't rest on success. And you can't maintain. You've got to always try to achieve to that next level. And that's the hardest part, because people want to stop. They think that success can be subject to something that is not subject to nature, and that's stasis. That's staying still, standing still, being the same. It doesn't. You've got to evolve. The key word is evolve. And you've got to do those things. They're tough at the next level, which are, man, evolution's tough. It goes to those most able to adapt, and that's what you have to do. And I think if you take your foundation you talked about, go vertical, have that solid three-leg foundation, you can then build upon that success cycle. It just seems to me it makes sense that way.
Absolutely. And everything you do in life, you keep moving forward, you keep driving, you keep being inspired, and you don't stop until you no longer have breath in your body and you can't do it anymore. The minute you stop, it's the minute you start dying.
I'm gonna let you go to your helper if you want. Liz, I'm going to throw something to you. I know you've gotten so many of these, and I've seen a number of these. But testimonials, if you're going to take them all together, all right, and there's a time, and you're going to put your testimonials together, if you can find something common in what people are saying about what the impact you had through a talk, and some of that's legacy because they're coming to you after and say, hey, man, picked up your book, read this, done this. What do you think that would sound like or look like? What's that one thing?
That I'm very inspirational. And again, inspiration as a speaker is when you breathe life into someone else to go for their greatness. Because I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm not. I don't want to be, because I don't want to get you excited for the short term and go away. I want to be an inspirational speaker where you take what I've given you and breathe life, into your own plan, to your own strategy, to your own execution to have greatness. That's the difference. In 2013 through 19, I was a motivational speaker. 2020 and beyond will always be inspirational, because I've learned Even in 2019, I was good, but I really honed in these last few months and gotten this really sound, especially as I've done a lot of things virtual. I know how to take it to the stage now much easier. It's a lot easier to speak on stage than it is virtual. And I've really worked on virtual, and we can take that a lot of things to on stage now. So we will never again be a motivational speaker. It's always, in the words of my good friend Bill Wish, onward and upward, right? Always going forward. That's what it is.
You know, the feedback loop on stage is immediate. So it's great. You get the bounce, you can see their face, you can hear the eyes, it's a feedback loop. Virtually, it's like, oh, I'm talking to myself like the Wizard of Oz. You were going to write a paragraph. So it's the end of days for Marques. He's lived to be 150 years old. He's impacted people through inspiration. How would that paragraph look? What would it sound like?
It would sound like, here lies Marques Ogden, who was an individual that cared about others' success before his own. He spent his life trying to educate, enlighten, and inspire others around him by sharing with them his failures, his triumphs, to help give them the tools necessary to succeed. And Marques leaves behind his children, grandchildren, and just wants to leave the legacy like Dr. King, like Mother Teresa, like Gandhi. Just treat others the way that you want to be treated, and that's what life's all about.
Man, that's a walk-off. I got people in here saying, yeah, they're shaking their heads. That's a walk-off. Let me, one more time, because I think this is very important that people find you. Tell us again where we can locate Marques. Maybe not physically, but where can we find you?
You can go to my website, www.marques, M-A-R-Q-U-E-S, Ogden, O-G-D-E-N.com. And you can shoot us an email, Marques_Ogden@yahoo.com. And just connect with us. We're available. We're on LinkedIn, Marques Ogden. We're on Instagram @Marques Ogden, Twitter @Marques_Ogden, and Facebook, Marques Ogden. So reach out to us, connect with us, and let's chat.
He's people first. He's unstoppable. He's my friend, Marques Ogden. I'm Bill Woodich. You can find this on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, probably one more or two more that I can't think about right now, and I'll get scolded for this later. But you were a fantastic, fantastic resource. You are a resource that continues to give. Your evolution has been incredible. I watch it. I applaud. Thank you very much for being a guest on the show.
Always, my friend. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You've been listening to The Unstoppables. If you liked today's episode, please consider subscribing. We have a new episode every Thursday. Please help spread the word of the show by leaving us a positive review on iTunes or Stitcher. Those 5-star reviews really help out the show. You can subscribe to The Unstoppables on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher to stay up to date on the latest episodes. Thanks again for listening. Always forward.